Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book haul of the last 4 or 5 days. Let's just spread the period slightly. I went to a book fair, comic fair this weekend and bought loads of books, but here's a few ones that just came last week. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang by Mike Ripley. Absolutely brilliant. This is just a joy to read all the way through. 150 different authors, lots and lots of books, loads of covers and things. Well, typical, I was flicking through, showing, but obviously no covers shown, but there are lots of covers. Yeah, there's some covers there. I knew there was one, it'd be one or two. However, that's not really the reason for it. It's just fascinating reading all the various stories, all behind the scenes, all the books they brought out, what happened to them. I love reading about that sort of stuff because many of these, of course, Alistair MacLean, everyone knows Alistair MacLean, of course, but some of them I've never heard of. So it's just great to actually think, oh, you know what, that sounds like a book. Of course, will you ever find some of these? Of course, some are readily available, but some are not. Now, I picked this up in my local charity shop today, Typology. I was going to say typography. Now, I love typology or typography and anything like that, sort of adverts, old adverts, magazines, typefaces, etc. Always fascinating. I love this sort of stuff. This is what I do most of the time. I've got my graphic extras channel, so I'm sort of creating Photoshop, Illustrator material, as well as doing all this. So these sort of books, just brilliant. Pick any of these up, especially if they're like 1960s, 1950s, those sort of things, or 1930s. Lots of examples, lots of brilliant examples. Even things like that. I could probably spend hours looking at a book that just shows, really? Telephone numbers. Why not? Actually, some of those books are quite fascinating. I remember reading one time about, there was the Los Angeles telephone directory, and I remember seeing a copy of that in, I think it was up in London, Westminster Library, and wow, it was an impressive book. It was real super thick, and J.G. Ballard said that was one of his favourite ways of finding out things to do for writing books and things, or whatever it was. It was a great reference book. And I can't blame him because it's just fascinating when you flick through these things. You just think, wow, you know what, you probably could do a whole load of stories about just anything. Garbage pickup ones here or elementary lunchrooms and things. I'm mentioning great stories could be made from any of those. And also lots of these things are pretty good as well because you could virtually write stories from this, just from the straight thing. I mean, I'm just going to do Lord Happy. See, Lord Happy, Margaret, or Lord Margaret Happy, call thunder, and just take the words from there and you could sort of make anything up. Sort of great story. You think, oh, that's going to be an interesting story. Morgan Bress. Type on Morgan Bress. I don't know. Who knows? Now someone will probably turn around and say, he's taken that from... Very true. Everything is up for bits and pieces from everywhere and anywhere. Comes great for ideas for all kinds of things. Well, why not? It's all in the air. Or ether, or wherever it's supposed to be. Comic book artist. I went to a comic convention as well. It was great. I went to a comic convention. Someone turned around and said, I recognise you from... No. Oh, it's great. Lovely. Wonderful. Thank you for... And also someone else mentioned, turned around and said, oh, that person does the book. Oh, well, maybe I should put a mask on and sort of hide away sort of thing. No, it's really nice. It's lovely that anyone sort of pop up to me and say, oh, perfectly wonderful to chat as well, because it's great to know that people love or like watching some of these. I mean, it's just great. However, let's get back to the actual case in point. Will Eisner. I love Will Eisner. Will Eisner Spirit. I bought zillions Spirit. I haven't got as many as I used to have. I've had virtually all the Spirit magazines, comics and things. Not originals, of course, because they were crazily expensive even then. But just lots and lots of examples. I love this one. John Law. Brilliant stuff. Big girl. I mean, that's obviously, just love that artwork. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Beautiful. Just great. Again, Spirit, more examples of Spirit all the way through. This book is just absolutely comic book artist, and this is issue 6, special tribute, honouring the great master, and definitely was. I love his work. Brilliant. Will Eisner will never be now beaten. However, Infinity took a long time to get this month. Wasn't in my local in Maidstone. Don't know why. WH Smith did not stock it. They stocked the Dark Side, but they didn't stock this for some weird reason. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get it. Why could I get it on the subscription? I'm not really one for that sort of thing. I mean, maybe if I find next month I can't get it as well, I probably will have to sort of bite the bullet and go for subscription. But I like to pick it up, and it's just a nice sort of thing to go in the shop, pick it up. As in the old days, going to a newsagents and pick it up. Still old-fashioned like that. Prefab 4, Monkeys. And it's obviously got Kelly's Heroes. Great little film. Not one of my favourites, but it's still, I quite enjoy it. Whenever it comes on, you sort of sit and watch it and you think, oh, that's not too bad. Star Wars Saga on the radio, London Fallen, Behemoth, etc., etc. And it's got Top of the Pops. Actually, there was this one, 71. And now I better not. Apparently, it's a controversial cover, so I better not turn around and say, I'll probably take my video off because of this. However, I saw this sleeve along with my local charity shop, but it didn't have the records in, so I didn't buy it. I thought, no records in it, I'm not going to buy that. And now apparently it's one of the most controversial ones. So I should have bought it, it's probably gone now. But it's still, I've got a couple of, I haven't got as many as I would like, but they do turn up whenever they do pop up in a charity shop. And I know people buy them for the covers, but at the same time, I actually buy them for the records as well. I love putting them on my record player. I've got a terrible record player, which generally blows up after a couple of goes, but it's still, the music's great, and sometimes you listen to it and you think, well, that sounds like Elton John, or that sounds like, XYZ, and you think, maybe, who knows? And apparently some of them were done. Children's Stone, of course, classic, love that one. And also, of course, the Monkeys, brilliant. And also got mentioned here in my favourite comic shop of all time, Dark They Were and Golden Eyed. Target, never bought Target. Don't remember buying Target anyway, might have done. 1 or 2 issues. It's right at the front probably, and I can't find it. It's always the way. I love this about the food and things. Just great going through all the different things. Many a memory that I remember as well. I think, oh, yes, I remember those. Remember that. Remember those shops. Remember. Right. Oh, of course, he died, didn't he? Who Pays the Ferryman? Absolute one of my all-time favourites. I bought the Dutch version of the DVD set. Just brilliant, just love it. Of course, it's not in Dutch, it's in English, but it's got, obviously, it's the Dutch. Oh, there it is. I knew it somewhere. Dark They Were and Golden Eyed. I love that shop. Used to go to, you had the top floor, or sort of the ground floor, you'd walk in, and it'd be the science fiction section, and there was other stuff as well. Can't remember. I actually generally normally walk straight through the science fiction section, downstairs into the comic book section, and of course, the comic book section was brilliant. Unfortunately, no one ever's taken a photograph of anything. And I think, why didn't I take a photograph? I love taking photographs of everything. Now, of course, with mobile phones, I take literally billions of photos. But it's, I don't remember that one. Must admit, that one completely lost on me, that post of finest science fiction. Now, I remember it also in Berwick Street. I remember going first time, walked over the comics. First time I walked in, comics all over the floor. Literally, they were on, just opened the door, went straight in. What? Comics all over the floor. Prices were quite expensive. I mean, I remember picking up Journey into Mystery, the annual king size or whatever it was, issue 1, and it was £5. And I thought, whoop, this was in the 70s. That was a lot. I think I found a copy later, tatty one, for about £1 or something, but maybe it was very good condition. I don't know, can't remember. However, that's the issue. I'm glad I picked it up in W. Smith's finally, so in London. This is superb. Absolutely brilliant. Been looking for something like this for ages. New Worlds, radical science fiction, 1950. Covers a lot of things like, obviously, Bob Shaw there. You've got New Worlds. I love New Worlds. I virtually had all New Worlds. Well, yes, nearly all of the New Worlds over time. And love that series. 1990. Absolute classic. Noah's Castle as well. Survivors, of course. Mutant 59, The Plastic Eaters, and so on and so on. This is full of great books, great covers. Sirens of Titan, Kurt Vonnegut, of course. Brilliant. Final Programme, love those. Absolutely mega Michael Moorcock fan, certainly in the 70s and that period. Of course, New Worlds as well. I must admit, some of these covers I have never seen. This one, Phoenix. No, I was going to say Penguin. It didn't look like a Penguin cover. Phoenix one. Can't say, completely lost on me in that one. Doctor Who, of course. Brilliant Doctor Who ones. Read all of those. One summer, there was a summer, and I can't, when it was 75, 76, whatever. Read the lot. Of course, it was baking hot summer. I think it must have been 76 then. Read all the way through. I had about 100 of them. I think it must have been virtually all of them. And I had that one as well. Love that one. Wish I had kept it. Very annoying. Daleks one. I think I got it for 5p or something at a local market, which was great. Anyway. Got lots and lots of brilliant examples of all these books. Thomas M. Dish. I love Thomas M. Dish. Superb. very hard to get sometimes. I mean, they do turn up in my local charity shop occasionally, right behind, and of course, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Great stuff. But this is just beautiful. Absolutely love this book. Really worth checking out. It should be readily available on good old certain sites. Amazon, of course, comes to mind. Another book that I love. I got this about Thursday, so I sort of fit it in this period. Let's Stomp. I'm a mega music fan. I love singing in the choir. I do lots and lots of music. I sing all the time, and I love every kind of music. So this book, brilliant. Beat music, love it, and it's just full of pages. And the thing is, of course, when you got, and I'm not going to mention the name of the device because it will pipe up and say something in halfway through the video, and but it's just great. Because, of course, with the certain music service, you can listen to virtually everything. Just turn around and say, play this or play that. And I love listening to everything. I just think, oh, Louis or whatever, Freddie King. This has got Kingston Trio. Just brilliant books. And there's this guy, Peter Checksfield. There's a Top of the Pops one. I've got that as well. Absolutely amazing. It's like 1964 to 1975, 76. Must do a review of that because that is brilliant book, huge thick book, about 700 pages, just full of every program of Top of the Pops. Not obviously the actual program, but just looking through it, and you think, oh, the ones that have disappeared, lost. Luckily, lots of the music can be found on things like the Beat Club and whatever, the German ones. Luckily, they sensibly, or other German ones, they kept a lot of their material, so you can see some of it on there. Now, this was one of the weirdest books, and I'm a sucker for these sort of books. And as soon as I saw it listed, I thought, oh, I must get it. Waterloo Sunrise. I will not do Waterloo Sunset, my version of. I went and saw Choir of Man, which was brilliant. I loved Choir of Man. Waterloo Sunset, I was singing all the way through that. Just love that. And lots of other brilliant songs. That was great musical. But Waterloo Sunrise, actually quite decent. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I've read quite through it. I haven't read all of it. But I've been reading through it, and it's dipping into it. Lots of, it's got lots of examples. But it looks like it's been done on a home printer. Now, I mean, it doesn't, what's his name, me too much that it has, but it's got that feel. And unfortunately, because of that, it's got that warping as well, the good old classic warping. But I don't think I've ever seen a reference book like this in a lovely hardcover. It looks, like, and then you get it, but it looks like it's just been done on a home printer. I know, maybe it hasn't, but that's what it looks like. But it's great. It's still a good read. I mean, absolutely nothing wrong with it. Absolutely sensational, extremely compelling work of history, beautifully written. And it's actually very decent. Thoroughly enjoyed it, but just odd. It doesn't have that slickness that sometimes when you get some of the, you get a normal sort of like history book like that of the 60s or 70s, something. I've got loads. And I was expecting that sort of style, but it's sort of slightly different. But and another related 60s book which came, I love this. I don't know why I've never had it before. I've got lots of their books, Faden, however you say it. I'm not certain how you say it, but it's just full, of course, classic examples of, I mean, I can look at books that are full of cutlery and books of teacups and things. Really? Have I got nothing better to do in my life but to look at pictures of teacups? Probably not. And also textiles and things, or chairs. No, I love going like design museums. Go to a city or something, go like Berlin or wherever. I love going to a design museum. You can just spend hours just looking at brilliant, just superb design. I love it. I mean, look at that. What a seat. I mean, impractical beyond belief. I mean, I would not be much use in this house. In fact, I don't think I could even fit it in the house. Sort of squeeze it through the narrow gap. It would stretch the entire house. But what a book. The 60s. And reasonably priced as well, which is good. See, I picked this up, I say, next to nothing. Just great. I've got a few others coming soon. The 60s with Queen and Vogue, which is good. This one, I do buy too many books, I think, sometimes. However, Playboy Trump, the complete collection. Now, I wasn't, but it's an EC one, and I'm a mega fan of EC. Harvey Kurtzman, of course, Will Elder, and Jack Davis, etc. Hollywood. And this is brilliant. I mean, I'm going to do reviews of quite a lot of things. I mean, that creaks a bit. However, this is just full of just brilliant artwork all the way through. Just a real quality book. Really quality book. Beautiful artwork and nice glossy paper. I was absolutely genuinely surprised when I got this. I thought, you know what, this is Wow, I love that bit. Flexagon. I love the way, I was thinking I must do some designs with that. Flexagon, that looks great. I have done some sort of designs with triangles. You can, of course, triangles are just brilliant. I love that use of sort of cutting with the different images going across in a bar, and it's sort of done as a sort of triangles. I think it's got, and that one, look at that, just absolutely brilliant. Triangles showing different bits. Obviously some bits of it are actually a picture going on to the next, but still you can still see the triangle. Just love that sort of style. And also other things, flags there and stuff. Now just putting a pile there. Now, homes and gardens. Now, most people are probably not interested in these at all, but I love these books. It's good that the world that people love different things, but these books to me, and they're reasonably priced. You can pick them up for like £5, £6, £7 sometimes. I mean, considering the fact that you buy them new, they're £4.95 or £5.95 or something like that. Well, the 60s ones are fascinating because one, got lots and lots of great examples, lots of adverts. I love adverts of, and also products you think, do they exist still? Those are things I quite often like look for. I think, and quite often I can research and you think, oh, that's, and if I ever do bring out a book about the 60s, I think I will be doing ones about sort of story about adverts and things. Not anyone else would read it, but I would buy it. I'd probably buy it. Probably buy my own book. What am I talking about? Here, next month, and you've got here all the sort of various things, and you've got, of course, fiction stories. I love these fiction stories, and they always were great because they always had these lovely artwork. Absolutely brilliant. Just a bit, and you've got obviously up to the neck in wool. Now, unfortunately, the stories sort of faded away. They didn't put as much fiction. Sometimes you had like magazines that had 3 or 4 stories, and then it sort of disappeared, and it sort of became more about, look at that, can't be it. Look at that, beautiful pictures of a cat. And you got Cosset, Brie nylon, bronze label, carpet. Probably set yourself alight walking across it. That nylon would have been crazy. But Pyrex, I remember Pyrex. We had that. Probably still exists. Of course it does. And you got Pyrex for day-long drinks, for main dishes and so on. You got all the examples. Just superb. Warminster, Axminster. I remember them. Beauty Post Bag and so on. Just great articles and really capture the period. I think personally more than Vogue and Harper's and Queen, those sort of things go for insane amounts of money. Tattlers and whatever. They're very expensive. But I've never been interested in those. Actually, they don't hold any interest to me at all. I've got one, I think. But this shows what people actually will live in. Generally, most people, not everyone, but fair amount, whereas most people are not living the Vogue life. Most time I wouldn't be interested in living the Vogue life, frankly, but each their own on that. Will Elder, the mad playboy of art, and this is just brilliant. I mean, just absolute, of course you've got brilliant bits of EC there, obviously, and also got tons of examples of his artwork all the way through, and also other examples of artwork as well. Just brilliant, Will Elder there. And this is a real thick, chunky book, 400 odd pages of solid, brilliant comic book. And I didn't know about it. I just happened to be going through a magazine, which I will show in a few seconds. And suddenly I thought, you know what? I must check that out. Pick this one up. Cavalier, a men's magazine. No, not actually in any particular, well, I can't show that. But there's generally, it's mainly all pictures of blokes standing against cars and things. Of the period, obviously all their fashions and stories again. The big board. Can't show that. Or a few bits of cartoons and things, and new fun with bigotry and English leather, and no one sings Dylan like Dylan. Definitely not. I love Dylan. And of course you've got the brilliant, all the covers there. My favourite albums. Highway 61, Revisited, Classic, Freewheeling, Bob Dylan Bringing It All Back Home. Just the best albums of the 60s. Love playing those quite often. And this is just great magazines. It's got Choose Any 3, and I always love those ones. Choose Any 3. I wonder how many people did those. I never did those. Never bought books on those things. But I guess lots of people did. But not for me. Another, House and Garden. Sorry, this is going quite a long time, isn't it? I did buy a few too many books, I think. Sometimes I think I haven't bought any books. And then suddenly I look at the pile and I think, maybe I have. Few too many, but they're all reasonably priced. It wasn't like, anyway. But again, this is full of just brilliant stuff. And this House and Garden, unfortunately, because of the way the titles, I've got Home and Gardens, House and Garden. How confusing. Why did they come out with titles that are very similar? Unfortunately, when you're doing searches, quite often I've picked up one and I think, oh, I've gone and picked up the same one because of the title. John Nash and Regent's Cottage. Times I've done that. This one is slightly odd because it's got a lot of this weird paper. I don't even know what thickness this is. It's a very odd paper, very thick one, but A Place in the Sun. Great article, all about obviously Malta and obviously other places as well, Mallorca, etc. Just absolutely great. Obviously, Place in the Sun TV series that came later, but fascinating. Wouldn't it be great to have a place like that? Imagine having a house that's with that in your garden. Now that would be something. That view would be something as well, wouldn't it? Actually, to be honest, I never enjoyed actually when I have stayed in places that are right on the sea, looking on or something like that, and I have been places like that. I've enjoyed it. To me, I'm more town. The idea of when I went to looking in like Valentia, I was looking around Valentia, and there's lots of houses down at the beach, an area. People go, oh, the beach, and think, not really for me. I just think, well, it's nice to go there, but frankly, no. Give me just the town life and people and actual, just going to social activities, sitting at a bar or something, or sitting in a cafe. Just so much more fun than just sitting on the beach getting melted. Not really my cup of tea. However, these are just brilliant. Again, full of just superb adverts all the way through this. The Villa Volpi. An African house, it says here, of fantasy. This time the Contessa Volpi's house in the city of Tripoli in Libya. Wow, that's impressive. Right. I have bought quite a few house gardens. I actually got a big bundle of House and Gardens, which is for a very good price. I was thinking, wow. So House and Garden, this is how to be warm indoors this winter. And actually, it's probably very apt, very useful. In fact, was very useful because of reading it. I thought, you know what? I'm going to go and treat myself to a new radiator. And it's actually very nice. So it's sort of, and it's just mentioned in House of Gardens from 1960. So it shows you something from 1960, which is a few years more than me, can actually somehow think, you know what, that would be a good idea. Instead of freezing to death kind of thing, which is what I normally do. Yeah, you've got loads and loads of brilliant articles in this, and of course it's got lots more cups and teas and glasses. Can't beat pictures of glasses. They are. You can't beat a picture of a chair. Life is fulfilled when you get pictures of chairs and you go, wow, look at that. Lovely. Blissful and decorative world of sleep. I'm not saying I want to sleep in like that. It never appeals to me. 4-poster beds sort of things and all that sort of stuff. I'd always be like, whenever you watch horror films, there's all people always in 4 posters or something. And you think, no, I prefer just what's your name? So you can actually see something's going to creep up in the middle of the night. So it always seems to rustle behind the curtains. You think that would just not be my cup of tea. And also, of course, they've always got a lot of space under the bed, and you always would end up looking under the bed, thinking, is there anything under the bed? Got loads of Brie nylon again. What was with it? Brie nylon in 1960. What was this stuff? The best in nylon. I remember the name Brie nylon. Decorators and designers everywhere. It's turned into Brie nylon. I bet they were. Cleverest of innovations. I wonder if it's still in people's houses. Must be. I say, nylon is just one of those weird things now. I suppose you can still get stuff with nylon. I guess you can. I don't think I've got anything nylon. And this one, it's worth looking into. The Luxaflex blinds. So I love these books for adverts. I mean, really. Great names as well. Look at that. Muted tit. Softened water. What a name. Really? Issues of Vogue in October. Oh, September 29th, October 13th. All obviously there. Flowers and plants. Just great. Absolute. For tame or great articles. Another one. Homes and Gardens. I'll quickly go through these because obviously people have probably fallen asleep by now. Fast forward if you're not interested in Homes and Gardens, because there's obviously this is just, but you've just got again. Oh, look at that! I mean, just what great. You just don't. Actually, I just watched a film on Talking Pictures. What was it called? I don't know what it was called. I just caught it halfway through. However, what it was, 1964, Acker-Bilk was in it, and also Frankie Vaughan and all that sort of. It was Lance Percival was in it as well. Weird. Really, it was a bit like that. It was done in a sort of very surreal sort of London that never existed, sort of surreal sort of cafe scene. People just sort of would freeze and sort of move and then dance and sort of then freeze again, and in a surreal sort of weird world. But would you ever see a film like that nowadays? In Soho, I expect. Last Night in Soho or something, maybe. But not even that was that sort of thing. I just don't make films like that back 1960 odds. This one as well. Look at that thermostat. Thermometer, I should say. A thermometer. You got a thermometer. 30 shillings. That was expensive for a thermometer. Would you pay 30 shillings now for a thermometer? Maybe back then you did. But that's, I think, sometimes the fascinating things about going through these old magazines. You look at things and you think, oh, everything's gone up. Everything's expensive more now or not. And yet you've got some things you think, thermometers, 30 shillings. That's £1.50 in new money. And this here, life with... Now, sometimes, of course, I love the script as well, the writing here. Life with Duralay, or could be, Duralay. I can't even say it sometimes. It's very hard to say something. Good Housekeeping Institute. Just fascinating. And also all the companies and things that probably obviously are some I assume are still around. Maybe they're still around. And this one, oh yeah, more heaters. So you can't beat a good old heater. Stove. And so I've done that one. Now this one I got half of the magazine, which is very odd. Sometimes people think, what? Most odd. Now I did only get 4 issues, but I got this bit in as well, and it doesn't fit with anything that I've got in it. None of the pages are missing as far as I can see, but I've got this weird bit here that's separate from all of it. Another one, House and Garden. This one is 1960. I better get off House and Garden. People are going to be falling asleep. However, Superman. So maybe I'll put a chapter so you can actually come to this sort of section. Superman. I love this book. This one, of course, has got the cover of Superman. Obviously, they're the early ones, and also Action Comics. Now, for some weird reason, that one is in black and white. I don't know why they did that. Black and white one. And obviously the actual cover there is in colour. You've got some other examples of covers there. And you, of course, got the actual original story. Can't beat good old original story. Don't know what damage there was there. Something, obviously some dinner somewhere at one point. Someone must have been reading something and it got squeezed in there. You can actually smell it as well. I don't know. But anyway, it hasn't damaged it all the way through the book. It's just in parts. I always love Lois Lane, I must admit. Lois Lane is always great in these early ones. And Clark Kent as well. Very different from later on. So you've got Lois Lane again there. Just great stories. Very nice quality. Of course, in many ways, this sort of book has been superseded by the showcase books, epics, whatever you want to call them, and also the archive editions, etc. But this was back in the day. I remember getting this copy. And this was really, really great because it exposed a lot of great Superman stories that, at that time I just did not know or was not familiar with. And again, you got stories, and it was going all the way through. So it does actually get to eventually into the 1960s, and you can see the style change as it goes into 1960s, into the... I don't know if it goes all the way, obviously, up to the 1970s. Doesn't seem to have much, obviously, the 1970s there. You got the 1970s. So it does get to the 1970s, but most of it is like 1940s, 1950s. This one, just huge. I am a sucker for complete art price guides. I haven't got any original artwork. I've got 3, I think, very sort of rubbishy sort of ones, which I love. But they were like £10 or something at a comic fair. They're not collectible in any shape or form, but they're just great. But I love books about comic book prices, not because I would think, oh, you know what, I'm going to go and buy Citizen Smith or Clairvoyant or any of these ones. But I think just the books are just great because they always have lots of brilliant examples of all of the artwork. And this one is full of just a lot of ones I've never heard of. Gordo, I must admit, not familiar with. This one, Gene Autry, Guildthorpe, Glamour Girls. Lots and lots of examples of different ones. Again, it's got all the prices, of course. There, Crazy Cat, $4,000, etc. But you've got here price range guide and everything. Now, this is by Jerry Vust, died recently. You got there And more examples, vignettes of life. And also, oh, you got this as well. Look at that, just some brilliant, of course, Human Torch. This one is from, an identified timely comic book. Now that's surreal. Why would they say that from an identified? Surely they would have known. They must have gone through all the issues and found one. If it's not actually one that was ever released, it's even more interesting because it was a story that obviously never, for some weird reason, never happened. The mystery of the disappearing criminals. So they would have thought, they would have found that one. And it's got example after example of brilliant issues all the way through. Obviously, feature comics, Doll Man there, Metamorpho, Blondie, Fire Hair. Oh, that one, X-Men classic one there. And this one, obviously, V from Vendetta. I love that, Black Hawk. And it's just page after page after page of just great examples of brilliant. Now, there's lots of information as well, but there are lots of examples of this one, The Rim of the Unknown, Frank B. Long. Oh, and also some obviously pulp stuff as well, thrilling wonder stories, and much more. Just brilliant, these books. This is a real hefty tome, I must admit, this one. So I love the advert on the back as well. It's a great advert. Starstruck. I love Starstruck. Cluter. Michael Cluter. Brilliant. This is a brilliant one. Lovely Marvel graphic novel. Actually, I didn't buy it at the time, but I've bought over the years many Starstruck stories. So I just saw this and I thought, you know what, that is one I will get for, I think it was £5. And for me, that was reasonable. I haven't never seen a copy of this. I haven't seen a copy of this at book fairs quite often, or comic fairs. Just doesn't seem to, quite often obviously you get millions and millions of all the standard Marvel stuff, but you don't always often get things like this. So it was nice, just something on someone on the table. I thought, you know what, that's one I will have. Picked this up book fair, not book fair. This was today in my local charity shop. The Man with the Kaleidoscope Eyes, Alan Ulrich. Absolutely superb. Just brilliant. All the like Sunday Times magazine covers that he did back in the day. Also lots of book covers. So he's got fine examples all the way through this. You've got the Penguin Book of Comics. My favourite, though I must admit, I haven't got that one with that cover. So you've got that. Also Nova magazine. Oh, I love that. Oh, I've got that one. Oh, I didn't realise that was him. Unbelievable. Yeah, Design and Art Direction. Got that one. Beatles Illustrated. Got that one. I love that one. Absolute illustrated lyrics. Superb. Where have I got that? I used to have it anyway. Brilliant album, The Who, a quick one. And lots of examples again of the 60s, 70s, and going into, of course, moving into more 70s, Captain Fantastic, etc., Elton John, of course. And then going, now I have to say, his art style later on was not really my cup of tea, but some fine examples of what I love the thing. But it wasn't as good, I must admit, as he was in the 60s. 60s was far superior, but still absolutely brilliant book. This is a real lovely Thames and Hudson, absolutely superb. That pile will fall over soon, I'm quite certain. No, I won't go for every single one. Housewife, I love these ones again, just full of brilliant adverts. This one actually is very good because I was flicking through it and I suddenly saw Mary Berry. Article about Mary Berry, and she was obviously talking. And also, again, you've got examples, again, of more chairs and people obviously on deck chairs and two coloured jackets and sense of occasion. Look at that, beautiful. This is 1966 issue, October 1966. Homes and Gardens. This one is 1971. Now, maybe the Mary Berry one's in this one, and it's one of them. It's one of these ones. I knew it. I picked up and saw it today. And again, got more stories again here. The Poetry Hour, more great adverts there, more pictures of candelabras and things, whatever, candlestick holders and whatever, and chairs. Can't beat that. I mean, look at that. I mean, wouldn't you love to live in a place like that? Some weird fashion and sort of interior design decoration decisions that were made back in the 70s. I still think they're great. Well, certainly I'd want to live like that now. No, doesn't really appeal to me. I love the hole's great though. I mean, look at that lovely hole through your wall. I expect people still do that now. Who knows? Why not? I love the chair. You probably can't buy the chairs either. So this is the dressing thing when you flick through these things. Quite often you see lots of things, you think, oh, that'd be cool. Good. Though I expect you can probably find them in charity shops or antique shops, I should say. Charity shops. How many charity shops have chairs like that? But antique shops, and they're probably insanely expensive. So, Bermuda from £75. I wonder if the price has changed nowadays. But you've got here carpets again. Arga owners. Never had an Arga. So I'm certain people say it's best for cooking. And also, look at that. I love that. Look at that TV set. Can't beat that. A Murphy Orange. I remember Murphy Orange. People who are interested in people. Though it doesn't look like she's interested in people at all. She's actually completely ignoring them. And more interested in how wonderful, which is not even on. Not showing anything. So exciting. Dry cleaning. Now this, you're really getting pretty, what's the name, about articles when you get dry cleaning articles in there. Home gardens again. I love these ones. I know it seems like, but I quite often pick up a whole row a period of time and you sort of just, so they all come at the same time. I think, oh, you know what, I wouldn't mind that. And I just suddenly see a load of ones that I think, I'm interested in something. I think, you know what, I'm going to go for that one, that one, that one. This shows the thing. It's all obviously about articles about London again. Enamel cookware. Fascinating stuff. House and garden again. Get off that. Too boring, I expect, for most people, but I love it. I'm sorry about that. Squartront. And this is just great. Basil Wolverton. It's got lots of brilliant examples here. You've also got their Flip magazine. You've got examples, obviously, the artwork. Here. And so on. And also Ulysses. I think this is really lovely magazines. And there's issue 14 coming out. This is from Fontographics. So Fontographics have got it now. So I saw loads of the Squartrons up in the Comic Mart. And the later ones, sorry, long time ago ones, 1970s ones, 75, 76, they were expensive. And I thought, there was one, I think it was £180, it was £160. No, that is just ridiculous. There's no way in a million years. So I'm quite happy to get this one. It's just it's still available on Amazon. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to get a copy of this just to see. And actually, because of that, I did pick up another copy, and because I love John Severin. So John Severin work, and this has got lots of great examples of work throughout here. Roger Hill, The Lost Ghost Bear. Those Ghost Bear pages. Apparently, American Eagle, and so on and so on. Again, more examples of artwork all the way through, and many others as well. Found Two-Fisted Art. Another original piece of original EC artwork that has until now never seen the light of day. So you get lots of them, got great things, and also it's got a checklist as well. John Severin checklist at the back, and this is I think it was reasonably priced, still reasonably easy to get. Issue 11. Apparently issue 12. Apparently it's very tricky to get, so it's always the way. I'm really not intending to get lots of them. It's nice to get one or two of them, that's all. Blazing Combat. I had this years ago. I got rid of it. I got it back again. Brilliant stories. Absolutely superb artwork all the way through. Warren's, of course, classic 4 comics that they did. And, well, just absolutely superb. Just lots of great. Now, the paper quality's odd. I think it's different from the original that came out. And it cracks quite badly. But I mean, it seems to be okay. But I can hear it cracking. The glue's a bit. But anyway, but it feels unusual paper texture. Very odd. But still, who cares? The stories are great, absolutely brilliant. Of course, the actual original issues are very expensive. So I'm quite happy to get it in that sort of volume, much nicer. Now, also, one thing I do love picking up these sort of things. And I don't get many of them. I've got a few. I've got, like, you get the crime ones or westerns or whatever. And you can quite find these. Normally, my local market, you can quite often pick these up. Commando ones or Air Force ones or something like that. And this one's Tell True. Now, weirdly, this one is Time Will Tell. So obviously, Tell was a very popular thing back then. I bought 2 of them, £1 each. And obviously, they're a bit 1969 and 1970 something. You can see by the price, of course, 6p. See the price there. probably about 71, 72, because it was obviously the changeover. And this one's obviously still in shillings, so it was 1969. And I can tell it's 1969 because it's got Dionne Warwick in it, which is not particularly a clue that it's 1969. However, the clue is this one, Fabulous 208, 1969 annual, which I had one time. So 90 Monkeys, Beatles, The Herd, Bee Gees, etc. But great little stories, these ones. I mean, they're obviously of the time. Brilliant, nice, sharp artwork all the way through. And, well, worth checking out. Certainly if they're reasonably priced, I think, why not? And I love the adverts as well. I mean, look at that. You've got here, Cresta Catalogue, the House of Cresta. On the back. So you get some rings there. I was a mega football fan back in the 70s. And I bought this quite regularly. Scorcher and Score. Love this one. 18th of November, 1972. The Superstars, Billy Bremner. Brilliant. And of course, it's got a load of great little ones. Nipper in it. Was never enamoured by that artwork. I don't know who the artwork artist did. Billy Boots. I love that Billy Boots story. And it always ended the same way. There, look at that. He's done it again. My boot. It's stuck in the mud. I lost my boot. Well, the stitches are rotted. The boot's ruined. Oh, of course, you know he's going to always resolve it mysteriously. So I'm always surprised that no one ever stole his boots. They must have been a bit suspicious. Billy, why aren't you any good when haven't got your boots? Next week, you're brilliant. You've got your boots on again. And then they think, let's get him. Let's get those boots. And I become England's captain or something. Who'd want to? I must admit, when I was younger, I would have loved to have had Billy's boots. I must admit, Billy's boots was always... I always think to myself, they should have done another one. Maybe they could have done with, like, Billy's boots. They could have had Roger's racket. Not Roger Federer's racket, but they could have had Botham's bat. Or whatever. They could have sort of like, that sort of storyline. Maybe not Botham's bat, but Bobby's bat. Those sort of things. They could have done... Or golf. They could have a golf one, couldn't they? Loads of possibilities there. They could have had spin-off series of all these legendary bats and rackets that were all sort of got the... And then there's always a diary. Of course, you could read through the diary, which always related to the thing. I love those. Just absolute classic stories. Terry's Tiddlywinks. That would be a great one when you get a special Tiddlywinks thing. Or sort of set of cards that were magical. Casper's cards. I don't know. Just thinking up names there. Never would have worked as stories. However, Picture Goer, 2 Old Bennies Weekly. Weirdly, and I was quite surprised because I didn't until I looked at this later on and I didn't see it. And actually, unfortunately, I nearly bought a December 1934 for something else. But unfortunately, the dealer wanted more than I was willing, like a house price. It was a lot. So I thought, no, I'm not going to buy it. You can't, if person wants, they want to sell it at that price, that's reasonable, of course. That's what they can do. But it would have been nice to have, but you can't get everything. So this one I got for £2. Obviously very ripped and torn. And it's got lots of more royalty thing. I'm not particularly fascinated, but they've got lots of great adverts in here. But this is same December 1st, 1934. And weirdly, and this was completely different. This was a comic convention. I went and picked this one up, whereas the other one was a book fair. December 1st, 1934. How weird. And like I said, the other magazine was December 1st, 1934. So, just something obviously was telling me to get something that was December 1st, 1934. Don't know why. No significance particularly to 1934. But it's got lovely adverts for Purcell, etc. And also, of course, you got all the films. And I love 1930s films. They're absolutely great. Some are good. Not all. Some are, they're of their time. That's the best way to describe anything. They're of their time. And it's got a very Merry Widow. Of course, some of them probably are not even in existence now. Many of these sort of ones you think, oh, look at this. You've got Lux, toilet soap. Brilliant. Lovely advert there. And this one, Modes and Mannerisms by Pauline Stack. Anne Harding. Some of the people I don't even know. Miriam Hopkins, the name's familiar. But You Are Old as Your Legs. Apparently so. Elasto Remedy. Bit of rust. Weird. Well, it must have been against something that was on that side, and it's just obviously got the rust has gone through there as well, or whatever it is that does that. Always on. But however, this one, love these illustrated London News. You can pick these up. So the other one, the one I mentioned, the London Life ones, I think are fairly obscure, so I can understand reluctance to part with them. Because, you know, and they'll actually, be honest, sometimes you look for magazines, it's virtually impossible to find out anything about them. Like, they just nothing about them in terms of what they go for or not. Personally, I think tatty magazines shouldn't go for much more than a couple of quid, but that's me. I just, Macintosh, you got here Moss Brothers. I mean, I just love getting them, just looking at just all the way through the adverts and all the lovely drawings and paintings and things. And this one, look at this one, Princess Elizabeth of Greece, second daughter of Prince. Now, I miss the royalty ones, I must admit, Prince Marina, Shakespearean actress. So I'm not so interested in those articles, but they do have other articles, and sometimes you get all the fashion designs. Always fascinating, but I'm not really per se a collector of them. I'm not a really 1930s sort of super fan, so it's still fascinating to look at. It's like here about Morris Motors and things. You know, I mean, if you want to sort of see some of the lovely old cars from the period, etc., the fashions again. Morley there, Rolls Royce, the best car in the world, it says. You know what? I don't know about cars. Couldn't tell you anything about cars at all. I haven't got a car. I wouldn't even be able to tell you that was a Rolls Royce. I'd go, yeah, I guess so. I believe you. Wine of Scotland. I've got a picture of Australia for. However, it must be the other advert. A newly most accurately drawn seasonal map of Australia during the pleasant summer months, November to April. Telling you obviously to go to Sydney, Brisbane, etc. All looks very lovely. But wines of Scotland, Scottish ale. Wine of Scotland, Scottish ale. Okay, I'm not much of a drinker either, so I don't know if that's lost on me. However, 1.5 litres, a new Riley. The World of Kinema, I love that. That World of Kinema as well. Michael Orme, The Return of Romance. The Iron Duke. Never seen it. Never seen that film. Probably very good. Oh, black and white. What's this one? Scottish whiskey on the back. The Royal House Horse Guards. Oh, and this, finally, this one cost me £3, a grand total of £3. It's actually quite interesting. Unfortunately, it wasn't exactly what I was thinking, but still, weighed a ton lugging it home, I can safely say. The Complete Cartoons of New York. This one includes 2 CDs. Now, that does include 68,647 cartoons. That's a lot of cartoons to look at. You can spend quite a time looking through those. However, the book itself does include lots and lots of examples of, obviously, the best cartoons. And drinking. And lots of more. And it weighs a ton, as I said. And you can see Leonardo there. And so on and so on. But it doesn't actually include all 68,000. Now, it would have been brilliant if the book had actually been 68,000 cartoons. They would all been very small, I suppose. You'd have had to say, let's put... say 100 per page. Yeah, you could have done that. 100 per page, 600 and odd, 680 pages. 100, you know, you imagine you could put them all on. It'd be very tiny. You'd have to have a magnifying glass, but you'd still be able to do it. Ready? Waste time. Anyway, sorry about all the house and gardens, homes and gardens, gardens and houses, gardens and houses and homes and whatever. And I don't even watch the programmes Bargain Hunt, Under the Sun, or wherever it is, and those sort of programmes. So, but I do love the 1960s ones. They're just fascinating, all the adverts and the articles about it, just odd articles, just brilliant. And also, of course, all the... I didn't buy many comics this time. I don't know why. Just sometimes when I go to comic conventions, I just don't buy any comics. It's just sort of, there's nothing that jumps out. You sort of like looking around, you think, you know what, do I want that comic? Do I want this comic? No. And I set in mind I was going to get some king size ones. And you know what? I didn't... Oh, my hair's sticking up. Always do all these videos and suddenly you notice your hair's sticking up. It wasn't sticking up when I started, which is very odd. So why it suddenly popped up in the middle of it. However, I was looking for king size ones and I couldn't find any. Certainly not a reasonable price. So the ones that I sort of like about 10-ish. But I did pick up some, or look at some Marvel Collector Items Classics. And I thought about that. And one of those things that I just put down. And I thought, should have bought those, I suppose, but I didn't. And also some Charltons and Gold Key. There was actually a Charlton comic book artist, or one of those ones, magazines. And I thought, but they're, of course, bringing out tomorrow's one fairly soon, Charlton's Companion. And I thought, I'm not going to buy that as well. Can't buy everything. So I didn't get that. But the book fair was good. I did enjoy the book fair as well. And it was like someone, just as I was going in, someone turned around and said, oh, you do all the book reviews and things. So I thought it was great. So it's lovely to so that was nice. And I hope he bought some great stuff as well. But the book fair it's good. But I must admit, I prefer the other one. It's 2 weeks' time, but I'm not going to go to that. You just can't go to every book fair. It'd be lovely to do so, but it's up in London, and it's a traipse up to town. And so we'll next, obviously, comic fair, maybe. Who knows? Well, hope you found this thing. Sorry again about the homes and gardens, etc. But other than that, hope you found it of interest. Bye.